Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I wanted to talk about Verizon's network path and where it's headed. I'm hearing some stuff from internally. I'm being sent some emails, and I wanted to unofficially discuss that in today's video. What I'm hearing, what's being said, what they're doing. And I wanted to separately speak on the network because I have always been a firm believer in the network, the progression, and where it's headed. They are on path of having the best network overall. They are still larger. And then this 5G infill is happening at an impressive pace. I mean, you guys have heard me say this in plenty of videos for those of you who follow the channel. And I stand by that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I do want to make it clear that it has not helped Verizon on the business side. They have not had any growth. In fact, they've been taking losses. And before the quarter is even over, they've already alerted the market that they're going to take more losses and take losses in the fourth quarter too, with officially announcing that they cover 152 million with C-band. So there's a mix of 60 megahertz out there, mostly 60 megahertz, and now part of the early clearing markets, they're going to get 100 megahertz. And it has not helped Verizon's case whatsoever in terms of growth. The trajectory is not changing. The churn is spiking. Churn is spiking on fixed wireless access. It hasn't helped at all. And from what I'm being told, they are very confident that they can hit 200 million covered by the end of the year, which is not far away. Like, we have about 100 and some days left of the year. And they think they can get to 200 million. And they are projecting to take losses in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. So just keep that in mind to kind of separate the two. Network, I see excellence. I see great focus. I see C-band at large scale. But on the consumer side, on the business side of things, they're just not winning. They're taking losses. And they will continue taking losses until they make a market correction. Now, they can't make these little changes. They have to make a market correction, and it will have to come from a price drop. I've been speaking with several different people. I've been talking to some of my guys, constituents locally that are into business, and they've also told me the same thing. They're digging themselves deeper in that hole to where now they really need a full market correction, a full-on blast marketing campaign with them coming in with lower pricing. Nothing else has worked. Look at the first and the second quarter. And those numbers are officially posted. They had no growth. Third quarter, Hans came out at the Goldman Sachs, we're going to take a loss. So there's just no growth path, no positive growth path for Verizon as it stands today. But, let's talk about the network, right? The network is where it's at. They're spending $23.5 billion back into this network. Millimeter wave has been deployed since 2017, and they're still scaling that. The fiber footprint, according to the guidance, they almost completed 50% of their entire grid on their own fiber. They're at 40% now. They should do the last 2% before the year is out. So that's going as planned. And it makes sense because the money is there. They are significantly outspending T-Mobile on all fronts. That's just no secret. And I know some of you guys are going to bicker back and forth. And sometimes you do have to look at it objectively. And looking at it objectively, that network growth has done nothing for Verizon. But looking at it realistically, the money, everything is starting to come together in one puzzle, and they are just killing it on the network side. From what I'm being told, from what I've seen, again, we're talking about it unofficially, but the targeted internal goal is 200 million covered by the end of the year. Why do they want to get to 200 million? Because that gives them access to nationwide ultra wideband marketing. That's what they're shooting for. They want to be able to market that they have ultra wideband now nationally. And per the FCC, they can do so at 200 million. So from what I'm being told in confidence, it's a foregone conclusion that they get to 200 million. That's how much more they're going to ramp up before the year is out. So we're getting ready to hit the fourth quarter. I'm being told they've secured several more tower crews that are going to climb sites. They got stuff in the warehouse in terms of equipment on both Samsung and Ericsson's side. And most projects, even here, I had my guy look into some addresses. Most of these projects for these sites already fully funded. So the green light is there. Money's not the problem. They just can only work as fast as humanly possible within a calendar year. But like I said, I'm being told 200 million is a foregone conclusion. They are very confident they will hit that with no problems. So that's for the end of this year. So where it gets even more impressive and interesting, right? At the analyst day, they guided 250 million pops covered by the end of 2024. Now, common sense comes into play, and it's not going to take a rocket scientist to figure this out. If they get to 200 million by the end of this calendar year, they're not going to sit still in 2023. And if you guys have been looking at it objectively and you've been looking at posts and blogs, they're already going into rural areas now and upgrading those sites. Areas that are not set to clear until the end of 23 or December of 2023. They're going to 700 megahertz only sites, and they're fully upgrading them with C-band and modernized LTE equipment today. That's happening at scale. So they're pushing the network to new heights. So from what I'm being told, again, this is unofficially, especially for those of you who stick around to the end of the videos, they are very confident that they can move that 250 million pop goal into the end of 2023. So 50 million going from 200 to 250 in the year 2023. Makes perfect sense. So they are working very aggressively and using every single dollar of the capital spend to their advantage. And they're accelerating at a much faster pace than T-Mobile. So end of 2023, we could be facing a scenario where T-Mobile gets to 300 and Verizon ends up at 250. So there would be about a 50 million pop difference between the mid-band deployment, which is not that large of a gap. I know it's additional, landmass that they have to cover, but from the starting point of where Verizon was to get within that 50 million pop range, that means Verizon can comfortably cover most of the metro areas by the end of this year. And now they can get into that suburban footprint where they let the network sit for a while, where they lack some serious performance, I'm told. So if they get to 250 by the end of 2023, I wasn't given any guidance beyond that, but in my opinion, I can confidently say that we could potentially see a updated guidance publicly that they're going to shoot for 300 million covered with C-band by 2024, the end of 2024. Essentially, putting them on par with T-Mobile if T-Mobile doesn't go above 300 on the mid-band deployment. So the essential, if we're being realistic, the essential difference between T-Mobile and Verizon is about a year. And that's if Verizon doesn't accelerate any further. Verizon is still dealing with some supply chain issues. They got the equipment, but they still don't have as much as they could potentially accelerate into. So if that potentially catches up as well, because the money is there, we might be seeing them catch up even faster, depending on how it turns out. And I'll ask around, and I'll unofficially keep you guys up to date to give you the tidbits. But that's what I'm hearing, that the N77 deployment for Verizon is on fire, given the circumstances, right? We still had supply chain issues. We still have equipment that's faulty, that's having to sent back and replaced. They're still having some pushback on LTE modernizations. They're looking to modernize that too, but oftentimes they're having to go to the site, and I'm sure you guys have seen this as well. They're having to go to the site at C-band, and they can't replace anything else because the equipment's on back order. So that's all. They're all transitioning, and they're trying to fix that very quickly. And I think, the next 18 to 24 months, I think they go into overdrive, so to speak. And like I said, the scary part about it is, about these guidance and these numbers that I'm putting out, they're touching rule in 2022. And they have been, I'm told, for the last few months. They're going into territory, upgrading territory that's not even part of any early clearance for C-band. So these sites are literally going to sit there with the new modernized equipment until it can be turned on. That also lets me know that there is still a possibility, and I'll ask around, there is still a possibility that some of those B blocks and C blocks that are out there, and I don't think Verizon has any of the C block, I think they just got B block on C-band, could potentially clear early too, before December of 23. I think there's a possibility that the first half of 2023, we could see some early clearance on the B block. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Again, that's just me looking at it realistically, objectively. Could T-Mobile potentially fight back, spend more, build more small cells? They can. That's what competition is all about. But keep in mind, as we positively discuss Verizon's network, they have other issues within the business that need to be addressed. They need to address the pricing. They know they have a pricing perception issue. The welcome plan is not fixing it. They need to drop pricing across the board. I've said it plenty of times, and there's analysts out there that do this every single day, that talk to other analysts, that talk to other third parties that run these numbers. And if you look at the business segment or the business section outside of wireless, companies are preparing for the recession. They're cutting back. They're laying staff off. So it's time to position yourself for that and prepare. And Verizon seems to be okay with taking the losses during this bad time in the economy. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.